Hey, it's PC URI week. URI PC URI weekend, anyways,
Yeah,
and
rivalry week, right?
rivalry week. There you go.
Yeah,
So
got them all going on.
Here on Kevin Max Sports, I have to go to the source. I got my neighbor, my friend, my pal, and the voice of the Rams, Steve McDonald. There he is. How are you, Steve?
Devereaux, it's always good to be with you, my friend.
You know,
Yeah,
for some people know this, but we truly live on the same street,
we
and
do.
this is the closest I've been to Steve here on this Zoom in probably about 6 months. But
Hey,
and we're very good neighbors.
you think for the Zoom we could have been in the same room, but we're only like 7 houses down the road.
That's right. That's
Hey, I
right.
drove by. The people across the street are doing some heavy work over there, huh?
They
They're
are.
tearing up their walkway or something.
Yeah, I think they woke up Miss Paula this morning, so they better watch their steps.
Oh, it's not a good thing at
To,
all.
to say nothing of your sister, their next door neighbor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Well, I tell you
exactly.
what, I think they had to do the groundbreaking today because it's going to be 20 degrees
That's right.
tomorrow. You're
That's
not
right.
digging through
That's
that
right.
dirt at all tomorrow. So this was the day to get that stuff dug up.
All right, so we could talk Rumford politics and Rumford, all day long, and people would be really, really interested in it.
Yeah,
But
we'd be.
I do want to talk college basketball. First of all, Steve, how many years behind the mic calling the Rams?
I think, geez, I should know, right? I think it's 32 radio, I believe, and then 5 or 6 TV before that. I remember Fox 64.
Sure, sure.
They were up in Rehoboth.
Yeah.
They did the Rams games, like
Hmm.
a package of maybe 11, 10, 11 games. And I had Mike Singheiser, who passed away last year, Brown University Hall of Famer and coach that won their only Ivy championship back in, I think it was 81 or 84. They won
84,
the
84,
84, yeah. And
86, 86.
86, okay.
Yeah.
And he did the color commentating for a few years with me and everything, and it was a lot of fun. Then went over to radio and been a few decades there, but and Kevin Mack has been stride for stride the whole
I
way.
know.
He
Steve, we probably don't even have to talk about Saturday's game. We could tell stories to, I
yeah,
think that
no
people.
question.
So I'll never forget my first year on the college hoop beat here in Rhode Island. I cover URI, and Al
Yeah,
Skinner's the coach. It'd be 19, the 90-91 season.
sure, okay, yeah,
I think Jim Norman was still doing the radio. I know he
mm-hmm.
was, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. And I get a call one day, Kevin, any chance you want to be on my TV show?
Ha!
I'm like, TV show? And I said, sure, Coach Skinner, I'd be happy to be on your TV show. And he introduced me to whatever you said, channel whatever up there in the woods of
Fox,
Rehoboth, right?
Fox 64 over on
Fox
Pine Street.
64.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
exactly.
Uh,
Chris Akerneck, producer, executive producer.
that's right. That's right. So
and and we
I
always taped right after Bozo the Clown was taped. Yeah.
I think I remember that too.
I can
Yeah.
tell you some stories about Bozo. I'm not going to ruin it for any kids that may be watching this, but Bozo on the air was a lot different than Bozo off the air. Let me tell you.
I can only imagine. Only imagine.
It's like The
Keep that
Simpsons.
helmet on, right? Keep the helmet on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly. Oh, those
Hey,
shows were great. Yeah.
Steve, the other thing that's changed so much in college basketball, it's funny. A couple of years ago, someone says, "Hey," and I don't want to use any names of a player, but prominent Providence player who played a lot of minutes. Hey, how's Joe? Is he a nice kid? And I said, I have no idea.
Yeah.
They're here so quickly,
Yeah.
here and gone so quickly. You do not get to know the players like we did 30 years ago when, Catino and Tyson Wheeler and Kenny Green were around. I mean,
Tommy
Car-
Garrick. Super.
Carlos Cofield. Remember Carlos Cofield? What a great personality he
Yes.
was,
Right. DeVoris Bell was at the Brown game the other night.
Steve Bell, was he?
Steve
Yeah.
Bell, what a
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
right? Great.
Uh,
Yeah, and of course I saw Tyson Wheeler over at the Brown game, associate head coach with Brown University with Mike Martin, and yeah, those relationships because, like you said, and fans feel the same way too. And there's a good side, and there's also a negative side to all that's college basketball nowadays.
mhm.
And the negative is just what you said. They land here for a year. Like we get a lot of grads and redshirt seniors on the team right now. So those guys will be gone. They're great. I mean, I tell you, this team, URI, high character
Really?
guys, great group of college kids and very good good players too. But we can talk about that. But but really a good group of kids. And unfortunately, like you said, next year they're all, a lot of them will be graduated or moved on because they're in there. Because one thing Archie did this year was he said, I'm going to get older. I
Yeah.
want veteran players who are in their last year or their fifth year, or sometimes their sixth year. And I want to go to bat with guys who have logged a lot of minutes in Division I basketball. And that's what Rhode Island has, and that's one of their big advantages. But the negative is that you don't see a Tyson come in and play a little bit as a freshman,
Hmm.
play a lot more as a sophomore, and then be an all league player as a junior and a senior, and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. It's tough not to see them grow, but it's you can instantly turn your team around.
No, no question. There's some positives, but in my mind, there's way more negatives. It's not the experience that these young men signed up for. In all honesty, But that said, we're old, Steve. It's time to move on.
That's right.
It will
Get off
not
my lawn.
change anytime soon. And hey, just continue on the Rams in the backcourt.
Yeah.
The experience with Cochran and Miles Corey, especially those two guys. I mean, it is a different. Of course, it's a different look. Every team has a different look from year to year, but college basketball, right? You got to start with good guards, and I do think that they have a good collection.
Yeah, and I think two different guys with Miles Corey and with Tyler Cochran, because I think from the jump, Tyler Cochran was ready to roll, and he is, to me, such a special player. When I saw him in the summer, go up to some practices, and then again in the fall leading up to game one,
Hmm.
I'm just sitting there saying, how do you defend this guy? How do you play this guy? It just because I liken him to a fullback and a tailback put together.
Hmm.
He's thick guy, but he's also pretty quick, very quick. Great steals guy, obviously leads the country in
Right.
steals, and has a knack for the ball. And he is a unicorn. You just don't see guys have the skills that he brings to the table.
Hey,
So
Steve, what type of opposing players has Archie kind of sick him on? That like the small point guards, or more like the wings, thick scorers?
yeah, he'd be more of a wing, guarding their best shooters and penetrators because you look at a guy and he has like 7 steals, 9 steals, whatever in a game, and you say, well, he must be getting in the passing lane, point to wing or wing back to point, just picking passes off and going. He does a little bit of that, but he'll just take it right out of your hands, mostly, off the dribble. Just get in there. He's got the quickest hands in the world. So if you're a dribble penetrator, he's going to stop you from getting comfortably into the paint. And as a defender, I mean, he was an all-defensive player, in the MAC, and player of the year on the defensive side. That's pretty big credentials. And like I said, from a steals standpoint, there's two guys in the country with the numbers that he has career-wise, and he's at the top of the list within the season. So he does special things. Miles Corey has started off a little slowly, and now has really kind of brought his game to the forefront. You're still just a handful of games into this season, and the big conference games are still ahead. But here we are, 9 games in, and you're seeing what everybody was so excited about with Miles Corey. And I saw it in
Yeah.
the summer too. He's an electric player. He can change a game. He's not going to sit there and drain 8 threes on you. He can hit a three, keep you honest a little bit, but he can blow by anybody and take them to the basket. He is
Well,
such a great dribble penetrator.
yeah, that's what I've seen from him, Steve. When he turns the corner, as
Mhm.
they like to say these days, which you
Yeah,
and I, again, we're old, we'd say penetrate the lane.
yeah.
But when he turns the corner, he's thick. He's not Tyler Cochran, but he's got broad shoulders and that quickness and the combination. And I also like your very first point you made. He knows how to play. He knows how to get where he needs to be because he's an older player. He's well
Mhm.
traveled and he's had success at multiple stops, right?
Yeah, we got him and R.J. Johnson. 2 transfers coming in. They share the point guard position, and R.J. plays a little bit of a different game. He's a little more pass first and score second, whereas Miles wants, is more of a scorer and a facilitator too. But each has a different balance to their game, and they kind of work very well off each other. And it seems like every night you're going to find one of those two that is on. There,
Mhm.
maybe the minutes will be determined in the first 7 or 8 minutes in the game when each of them have a little bit of a run, and you kind of see who's on. And when they're both on together, then the Rhode Island's a tough team to beat. But
Hey,
they're both good.
How about the two Atlantic 10 transfers?
Yeah.
Again, another rule I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But God bless them. Rams have a transfer from both Fordham and the Bonnies.
Yeah, it used to be you had to sit 2 years out in
Yeah,
conference play, right? If it's an
yeah.
intra-conference transfer back in the day, but nowadays, everything's just go get them. And yeah, Jonah Hinton has become Rhode Island's best scorer over the last few games. He too, kind of got the accelerator going in the last 4 or 5 games, and now it looks like, I mean, his 3-point shot has been fantastic, and he is the one guy that can sit back there and shoot it of the guys that are in the regular rotation. I think a guy like Barrett Lower is going to be that someday
Right.
when his turn comes. But right now, not really in the rotation a lot. But Hinton's that guy that's a perimeter shooter that can help you out a lot from there. And then also Jameer Tripp, the transfer from Fordham. Wow, he is such a physical perimeter player. He's at the guard position, but he looks like a forward, and he really brings that strength. Rhode Island is not a big team at the 4 and 5
Hmm.
from a muscular standpoint. They're going to get out rebounded, enough, and they're not the team that's going to sit there and own the offensive boards and everything, because they can get pushed off a little bit, because like a Ray, who's their 5, is not terrifically strong. He's very agile and has incredible leaping ability and shot blocking ability. He does a lot of good things, but he's not a load that's going to sit there and keep people out. So they get their big rebounds really from the guard position. Tyler Cochran is a good rebounder, and
Hmm.
Jameer Tripp, two really strong guards that can go and help you out a lot on the boards. So that helps out what you're lacking as far as that thickness down low. You got skill guys at the 4 and 5. Crawford, Ray, those guys can, Crawford can step away and shoot the 3.
Hmm.
Ray is a dunker and a spectacular highlight film guy. But you need the nuts and bolts type of players, and Tyler Cochran and Jameer Tripp, two of those are going to go and represent Rhode Island on the boards and keep things a little more toward 50-50 that way.
Steve, you sound excited about this team. You know they're
Yeah.
they're 7-2. They lost a very competitive game to Towson, and
Yep.
then earlier in the year at Tulsa, where they just didn't play well.
Mm-hmm.
But they have, obviously, at Yale is a very good win. Temple is certainly a good win. Stetson was a pretty good team in the opening game of the season. How much better than they are of last year? Compared to last year's team, or is it too early
Well,
to tell?
I think the intangibles are better. I think that this team is a unit, and having a lot of older players who, for them, it's their last trip around the block.
Yeah.
If they don't do it this year, it's not going to get done at the collegiate level for them, because they're in their final year, a lot of them, and many of them have come from programs where they say, "Well, we didn't didn't have enough," but together maybe they do, and I think they look at each other and say, "I'm going to lean on you, you lean on me. Let's see how far we can take this thing." And
Mhm.
you mentioned Yale. Yale is
Very
a
good team.
fantastic basketball team.
Mhm.
That is going to prove to be a terrific win for Rhode Island. That was a quad 2 victory that night, and it's only going to get better as time goes on, because it's only the only loss Yale's got. And the thing with that concerned me leaving Connecticut was we shot the lights out from 3, and but the other thing we did, so I say, can we do that every night, but what I've been pleased with that night and really since then, and is the amped up defense. This team, some nights the threes are going to drop, and some nights they're not. They're not a great 3-point shooting team. They can be on a particular night, but it's not probably always going to be there. But what I see with this team that's always going to be there is defense.
Mhm.
They hound you on the defensive end. Tyler Cochran's kind of the head of the spear there, but the other guys and coach and the whole staff, really, really harps on the defensive end. And I like what I see. They're really high as far as creating turnovers and disrupting the play of the other team. You saw it against Brown the other night. Brown's a good defensive team as
Yes.
well. They
Yep.
struggle to score, and they struggle to score against Rhode Island. But I think that's where Rhode Island is going to make their name, on the defensive end. I don't want them to be a team that when the threes are going down, they win. And when they go off the base of the rim, you lose. I think they're better than that. And in those other games, those gap games where the threes might not be falling to the degree you want, I think defense can win them a lot of games.
All right, Steve, because we're the gurus, we can break down this Saturday game. Uh, Providence is top 20 in the country in tempo. I mean, they really want to push the ball.
Yeah.
Rhode Island is 283, and defensively, they're in the top 100. So clearly, pace is going to be so important in this game. Providence, if you make them play half court offense, they struggle. When they get up and down and take shots within the first 10, 15 seconds of the shot clock, they can be very effective. I think Rhode Island wants those possessions to be longer. So that's my spin on the first, 10 minutes of this game. Who knows what kind of adjustments coaches make after that? But watch the tempo. If this gets off to a 7-4 start, then I like Rhode Island's chances to not only stay in, but they can steal one here.
Yeah, and like I do, every coach in the country in the preseason says, "Hey, we want to run the ball. We want to,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
really want to get up and down the floor." And then, can you in the season? A lot of teams that want to aren't able to, but Providence obviously can. They've got some elite players, and they've been able to score 90 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
But their difficulty is stopping the other team, right? They're at
Right, no question.
86 against or whatever. So, and in I was watching the Fairleigh Dickinson game just before we hooked up here on ESPN Plus, and they were mentioning that in the four losses for Providence, they've given up, I guess, 100 points a game.
That's right.
So
Yep.
yeah, so obviously it's pretty clear where the challenge is there. And I got to think with the unit that they have, the players that they have, that's going to change under Kim English. And they're going to reel that number back. And I don't know if it's the greatest time in the world to play them, because obviously that's the most important thing on their ledger. And if they can tackle that defensive side of the ball, they don't have to be the best defensive team in the country, but if they can be representative on that side, that scoring prowess they have is going to win them a lot of games. But I think Rhode Island right now is in a good way. I thought their wins early in the season against a little lesser competition were okay,
Yep.
but didn't send you out the door of the Ryan Center saying, "Wow, this is where you want to be." But I've been really impressed with how they've won. They've won with defense as of late. They are a committed team on that end of the floor, and some nights shots just aren't going to go, but defense travels. Defense you can count on every night, and I think that they're locked in on that side. So that's why I think they have a very good chance of being successful on Saturday. I think it's one of the better matchups going in this series in a while, because Providence has obvious strengths and obvious challenges, on the offensive and defensive side, and Rhode Island has grown from, even in the short stretch of games so far, from the beginning of the season with a team like Stetson, where, won the game, but, you leave saying, well, I wish I'd seen more of this, more of that, more of that. But lately, you leave the game saying, man, I was impressed with this, and impressed with that.
No.
They're coming along.
Yeah, they're coming along, and I think we'll get introduced to an awful lot of college basketball fans in Rhode Island. I think both programs. A lot of people are, what do the Friars have this year? What do the Rams have this year? I think we'll know a lot more by 3 o'clock on Saturday. It'll be.
I'll tell you this, Kev. Right,
Yeah.
Rhode Island was picked 12th out of 14 in the A10.
No chance.
Not a shot.
Yeah.
Not a shot.
Yeah.
They are an upper half team in that league, and then you go from there. Right, so they're seven at worst, and then with a chance to push up. Yeah, hey, there's some very, very good teams in the league at the very top. So that's going to be hard to puncture that top three. But
five, 6, 7, I think we'd sign up for today, right?
Absolutely. I think you're going to see them, in the last few weeks of the season, in striking distance, in that 4, 5, 6 spot, I would imagine. Just because they're a tough team to beat right now, and I don't see them ebbing and flowing like a younger team would. I think with the older players, you get what you get, and if you like what you get, you're probably going to get it all year, because they've played 1,000 games. So they've decided how they're going to play basketball. It's not like, hey, this night they had it and this night they didn't. They're going to deliver, and especially when you make your mark on the defensive end, because that shows up most nights.
Defense travels, as they say.
Yeah,
Defense travels. All
yeah.
right. All right. That's hey, Steve. I got things to do. I know that, you got to get out in Catlin Ave. I got to leave Catlin Ave.
You got to rake that lawn, will you, Kev? For
Yeah,
guys,
it's tough. Yeah. What have we been going for about 16 minutes? That's it for the day's work. I mean, what the hell are we doing? I mean, come
I'm
on,
done.
please.
I tell you that.
All set.
Absolutely.
Hey, Steve, early start for everybody. It's a noon tip at
Yeah.
the amp. So, hey, as Tom Brady said, get lubed up early. Um, Believe me, Providence fans know where the watering holes are in downtown Providence. And I've already heard some complaints that the restaurants aren't open for dinner at
Oh,
2:30, 3 o'clock. Have you ever heard of an appetizer? I
yes.
mean, come on, have a little flexibility in your life, and you can find something in downtown Providence. What are we talking about here?
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Have a little bite to eat before you go. And then
Yeah.
2:30, 3 o'clock, hey, go over to the silver truck over there. Go to,
I don't know
uh,
if it's there yet. That's the
oh, yeah,
problem.
maybe.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's there yet.
right.
Yeah,
They're probably 12 hours away from opening up over there,
that's right.
right?
That's right. Hey, Steve, as always, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you. We'll see you on Saturday, Kev.
Great.
All right. Thank